we want to talk about animes that rose to stardom in a blitz, then there are only a few that can compete with the rising of the shield hero, especially when we consider the Isekai genre. Tate no Yusha no Narigari, or if you prefer the English name which is much cornier than its Japanese counterpart, had one of the most massive debuts in the summer of 2019, literally breaking the internet and ruling Twitter with countless tweets and trends. It is without a doubt one of the finest additions in modern isekai and modern anime in general, but nothing is perfect, and there is always something better out there, setting a higher benchmark, and today we will prove it. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Mad World. Join us today as we attempt to pierce through Nafomi's shield as we bring you 5 animes better than Rising of the Shield Hero. As always, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep you updated with our future content. But for now, let's jump right in. Number 5. Matsukai Noyomi. We all know the one definitive scene, or shall I say, the one definitive character that cemented Rising of the Shield Hero as a top contender of 2019. And that is, without a doubt, Raphtalia. But do not forget how Raphtalia came to be. She was a slave bought by Nafomi out of pity. And there was no real depth or a proper explanation or emphasis on Nafomi and Raphtalia's meeting. They just happened to be there at the right place at the right time. Mahotsuke no Yumi has a similar scene to offer, but the background story and the build-up to the master-buy-slave scene feels much richer and believable, and the uprising that comes after it becomes more fun because of the unpredictability. When Chise Hattori loses all hope in life after being left out by her own family and disregarded from society, she sells herself as a slave for anyone willing to buy her and give her a place to live. What we have here is a character and a motive, a strong need to find a place to call home. The main character, Elias Ainsworth, buys her for a huge sum, takes her with her, and gives her a life much better than any slave has ever experienced, and much better than she expected. What makes the dynamic of these two better than Raphtalia and Nafomi are that both of them are driven by a sense of need rather than a sense of want. Number 4. Yojo Senkai. Now this is a rather arguable topic because the Rising of the Shield Hero doesn't lack much of anything compared to this anime, but the sheer difference in popularity, fanbase, and the polarizing topics they create are what separates Yojo Senkai as a much more enjoyable and watchable piece compared to Rising of the Shield Hero. But then you could make a huge argument regarding the main character, who is a literal awesome she or he or she, I don't know what to call her or him, makes Nafomi look like a child. But it isn't just the awesomeness that makes Tanya an endearing and genuinely enjoyable character. It is the fact that though she was reincarnated as a woman in the new world, she retains the personality of her previous life where she was a man. This makes an incredible dynamic between Tanya's outer interactions and judgments, often clashing and being in dispute with her inner voice and perceptions. And that is just a character comparison. The premise and its execution is just as good as the goofy, yet inherently savage character that Tanya is. It prepares you for a fun and comedic tone while maintaining top-level action and stellar character depth. Number 3. Overlord. Calling Overlord well-known is okay. The anime has a good fan base which isn't toxic, and is at peace with the fact that their favorite show isn't talked about much, even though it is one of the most influential and important isekai in modern times. Most fans would say that Overlord isn't necessarily better compared to the Rising of the Shield Hero, since both of the anime have a very similar world setting, except Overlord doesn't emphasize the concept of hero that much. Both animes have protagonists who are extremely overpowered and prefer to work alone without additional help from the outside. But Ain's ambitions, his allies, powers, and his character itself is much more interesting than Nafomi. The mistake with Nafomi was that his character developed too fast, leaving us with the same mercenary shield hero who likes to help the needy, dislikes other heroes, and isn't driven by revenge, even though the show tries hard to make it a revenge tale. Ain's, on the other hand, came fully developed in terms of power, and his character was shown to us as an emotionless skeleton who has some human virtues but pretty much doesn't feel any emotion. This made Ain's character unpredictable on so many levels. We didn't know what his judgment calls were going to be. Predicting Ainz's next move with accuracy was starting to get hard, so even though there was no place for character development for Ainz, the fact that he was emotionless worked in his favor. Number 2. Katse No Stigma. While most of the entries on this list focus on the Isekai elements, it is the premise, the world, the environment, the setting, and how similar it is compared to the Rising of the Shield Hero that makes it better. Katse No Stigma focuses on the revenge narrative, but unlike the Rising of the Shield Hero, Katse No Stigma executes it beautifully. The anime is not isekai at all, but it is still a very enjoyable and realistic world as it is set in Japan, and the artists have tried their best to resemble the ancient Japanese theme. Now that covers the environment of this anime, but what about its story? Well, Katse No Stigma follows the story of Katsuma Kanagi, a member of a clan who specializes in fire-based techniques. You could even say that they are the strongest fire users in the world, but unlike his clan, Katsuma doesn't have any firepower at all. Because of his inability to use firepower, Katsuma is exiled from his clan, but then he returns 4 years later with a new name and some terrific wind-based powers. And surprise, surprise, as soon as he comes back to his clan with his newfound powers, his clan suffers a huge loss after some important members are killed by a wind user. How convenient. Naturally, the society and his clan blame Katsuma for this tragedy and try to make his life a living hell, so Katsuma makes it his goal to defeat his father and clear his name. Number 1. The Legend of the Legendary Heroes. Aside from the title of the anime, which is as corny as it gets, The Legend of the Legendary Heroes does not focus on the heroes, but rather on their legend. Do you get that? Yeah, me neither. Anyways, the story revolves around Reiner Lute, who is an exceptional mage living in the Ronald Empire, and he is as ambitious as his magical skills. Reiner has a goal, or more like a vision for a very beautiful world, and he knows the means to get it. On his journey to build a beautiful world, Reiner travels the world, searching for useful relics and artifacts that were used by the heroes of the past, and he wants to use these relics' power to establish peace and prosperity. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Well, no. Things are not as easy as they sound, as Reiner possesses the cursed eyes known as Alpha and Stigmas, and if they ever activate, they are destined to cause mass destruction. This creates an interesting dynamic and a dilemma between Reiner's wish for a beautiful world, but his fear that his endeavors would mean nothing if he ends up becoming the world's doom. This level of character depth is not something we find on The Rising of the Shield Hero, because the characters in that anime are not presented with judgment calls or such difficult choices, and even when they are, the consequences that follow up are just not big enough. So that was our list, you guys. Did we miss anything? If you think any other title deserved an entry on this list, then do drop the name of the anime along with the reasons on why you think it deserved it on the comments section. We'll be happy to see that discussion go down on the comments section later on. And if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like, press that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell for future updates.